Surprise! I'm surprised to be sitting here in front of my computer doing a live just, about an hour or so before I have to really get in gear and get ready to go to the job. I was strongly guided here, though. It is 12:44 local time, which is Eastern Standard Time. Where's the Palo Santo? I've been strongly guided here. It feels like a follow-up, if you will, from the connection last night. And as always, uh, this divine human spends a lot of time in reflection and self-assessment and, just going deeper, trying to gain deeper understanding of the hero's journey, if you will, the healing journey of saving ourselves by aligning with the call of our soul. So I feel like I'm guided to share this out. So let me do that. I haven't done that in a long time either. So there's something here. Just let me see if I can get the link. So how's everyone doing? How are we doing today? I feel a little vulnerable today. As we peel back the layers and as we reveal more of ourself. Why is that not sharing? Let me try this again. Copy. Here. Paste. Okay. There we go. So let's see. Okay. Give me 1 second. Is anyone here? Do I have any company? Do I have any company? So it feels like this message today is really about, because I was just guided to type to share this to my personal Facebook page. Now live here, supporting life beyond what we have survived. So congratulations. Well done. You have survived everything and overcome every obstacle that you have encountered so far. And it feels like at this point in time, you are overcoming the biggest obstacle of all, which is your very own feelings, our very own feelings of worth and deservability. And I feel like that's partially what has guided me back here today, is that sometimes, so upon reflecting of what was shared last night and the situation of my life in the last couple of years, if you will, sometimes I can see how we, the sensitive ones, the intuitives and the healers and all of this, all of you who connect with this message, it's, there was talk last night about forgiving ourselves and then forgiving others as we move forward in life. And Tristan's back again on my lap, and the fur is an issue again. And so first and foremost, it's, those lessons in love of trusting ourselves and healing the wound that, so sometimes we get involved in situations from a space of responding to kindness. And this particular situation that I found myself in, was a very uh, unfamiliar territory for me, unfamiliar environment. I hadn't really worked outside of the home in um, like a few years at that point, because I did work for a year after Frank passed, or a season in a greenhouse, and then hadn't worked outside of the home again. So, getting out into the world and going into a space that was an unfamiliar environment, 555, lots of changes when, kindness was extended. It was like a lifeline in the space. And that lifeline ended up to be just, exposed over time through my own inner knowing, through my own intuition, through my own investigative discoveries, if you will, was all a front, was all a lie, was intentional. I'm an open book. I'm transparent. What you see is what you get. I'll sit down and talk with you for hours, or I'll sit with you in silence for hours also. Maybe not. I might sing. I might not sit for hours in silence. I'll try. I'll try. The thing is when people, it's what I keep hearing, what I've been hearing a lot this morning. Oh, the tangled webs we weave when at first we seek to deceive. And when we are setting out in such a manner, when we are setting out in such a predatory nature, in an inauthentic nature for the idea of personal gain, perhaps even status, it's not cool. It's not cool. And those of us who fall prey or become prey for such, let's just say predators, for such, predators, we inadvertently, it's actually a really good thing, because it becomes a catalyst for, it feels personally, and so this may be true for you as well. This, it feels that it's the catalyst, the final karmic needed to heal. Hey, brother Milos, yay! Oh my gosh, I've missed you so much. And look at you, you've got a crown. Look at you, the crown, a purple crown. And I'm so pleased that a masculine energy was the first to show up here in this live today. It's really confirmation of so much coming to light. Purple, and purple was the big guy's favorite color, and mine too, for much of my life. I did have a purple bedroom at one point in time, with even some finger painting on the wall. So, how's it going? How are you doing? Purple, and purple, like everything in this, like everything in this realm, much has been hijacked. Colors, numbers, symbols, our consciousness, all of it. And so we are the linchpin, if you will. We are the one here to break free. And so going back to, because I don't have a lot of time today, I really feel this is important though, because it's about the feelings and healing of self-worth and deservability, and what, safety and security. And from the complementary, I was going to say, at first I was hearing like opposing energy, but it's the complementary energy, the masculine and the feminine. merging within the experience, and the feminine um, softening, because it has been to be on, like, I never imagined myself to be in a situation that because I reached out to kindness in a, let's say, a hostile, unfamiliar environment, you know, again, I take comfort in knowing it was a karmic that was needed for my personal healing and my ability to move forward, truly move forward into the final phase, or not final phase, but into a complementary phase of spiritual, the spiritual evolution of the eternal soul in Lisa, the divine human. And so when our self-worth, when, because that situation brought up a lot of these feelings for me, like 1111, like, is this all I deserve? Do I deserve this type of treatment? Especially after revealing much of myself. As I said, I'm an open book. I come, face forward, heart open, really from a space of feeling connection through the heart space. And when we are taken advantage of, or when we are viewed as prey, I know what I've had to move through in the last year and a bit is like feeling embarrassed that, I even dabbled in such like childish, um, just ick type energy. For what purpose? I mean, for what purpose? And I've also had to overcome feelings of, that embarrassment, because embarrassment's attached to the ego, knowing that, there's likely conversations going on about, the situation. And maybe some people know, I don't know. Like, I don't know what this person, I just feel like this person just, you know, um, talked shit, and that's not very nice to do to somebody. That's, and so we have to overcome our feelings, because I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't do anything wrong. I was lied to. I was deceived. I was reaching out for a lifeline of kindness in an environment that seemed very hostile and not very welcoming. And I'll be honest with you. Over the course of my time in this space, I've heard chatter behind my back. It doesn't feel nice. And a lot of the chatter, like the chatter, comes from a space of not knowing a single thing about me, really, except how I show up at work. But very few people within the space have actually taken any sort of time or interest in getting to know me. So it's a great obstacle to overcome our ego when we feel, our ego when we've been wounded, when we've taken a hit, when we've been, a party to being played in a game that we didn't sign up to play. Situations that I would never willingly or like put myself in, honestly. So yeah. So, and for me, this energy began, and it really, the catalyst, the healing for this final phase, if you will, of the wound of worth, self wound, feelings of what we deserve, and is that all that we deserve? And that comes from way back somewhere in life. It started, Milos, and you were here at the time with the Pisces new moon in 2024. And since that time, and that day was the day that I uncovered and discovered the deception, the absolute deception, the violation. I could not believe that somebody would intentionally deceive that's going to cause another soul, in this case, namely me, ache, pain. It's insane, really. And yet, again, I sit here today rather grateful for the courage in the courage of a lifetime, really, to continue to show up and walk tall, stand tall, be proud. I didn't do anything wrong, and I didn't deserve what was done. And I don't deserve the unfair. Well, I mean, people are going to judge, and I guess, if people want to judge, that's okay, and I'm okay with that, because I understand that if you're judging me, you're probably judging yourself more harshly, because that's how it works, right? We point fingers, we do things, we say things, and don't be afraid to, there's been a couple occasions when I've heard things being said as I walk by or something like that, you know, turn and let them know that you heard it. And actually, in the last little while, I haven't heard much said, because you look that shit in the eye, and when we look into the eyes of one another, and very few people lock eyes or connect eyes with each other. When we do, we see, we can see. What did they say? The eyes are the window to the soul. And so what do we see when we look in the mirror? What do we see when we look in another's eyes? And if you can't look another in the eyes, what is it that you're trying to hide? And have you ever had that experience? So even within the same space, um, and that's, it's kind of a tick off for me as well, because looking for that lifeline in a space, perhaps looking reaching out to the lifeline that was offered, I was unable to see anything else that may have been present in the space. And I will say that the recognition of another soul within that space did occur for me back in November, which was really a catalyst for this deeper layer of healing. So we went from Pisces season to Scorpio season, water to water, and there was another catalyst in November. And that was the opportunity to look in the eyes of another who has been in the space for a very long time, um, and feel a recognition, like a true soul recognition. So much soul, so much soul, so much so that upon coming home that night, and it was November the 29th, you know, and was that around the time of our Sagittarius? Or was that our Sagittarius new moon? Anyways, it doesn't matter. It was the tail end of Scorpio season. And there was a recognition and a very much, it's hard to say. It's like a knowing. And I heard a message in that moment. And I came home and I was really overwhelmed by the level of connection with one that I don't even know. It's so weird. It's so weird. And so, as time went on, there was sort of an opening there, and then there was a complete disconnect of that soulful recognition back in January of this year. And that again, another wound, another bruise to the tender ego, the wound within. Oh my gosh, like, I'm not worthy of friendship. I'm not worthy of and I feel that that other human involved also felt it and feels it still, even though there's no contact. There's very little. Like I said, last Tuesday was like a miracle. I got to lay eyes on the human. I didn't actually get to look in the human's eyes. It almost felt like they were trying to hide, and that's okay. That's okay. I get it. I honestly, I really get it. It's especially if we feel like a soul. So many of us have had a lot of these karmic connections, the soulful connection, the knowing that, oh my gosh, like, wow, the scene 2121 there, the feeling of the recognition and the feeling of the potential and the opportunity for true connection, for true healing, for true unity, going further than we could go on our own. And again, everyone has their own, um, I'm hearing many rivers to cross. And, all I would say at this time is to really trust your heart. We are being called forward. We are being called into a bigger experience of life. We are being called to climb and trek and support one another to new heights, beyond the fright, beyond the deception, beyond the traumas. Are we brave enough to open our heart again to the call of love that comes from within? Yes, I am. I am. I will. And I know that what I feel, and I know, like, even if this soul recognition is, if that soul does not enact, heed the guidance of the call of love, or heed the guidance of the spiritual realms to support expansion and a greater experience in the third dimension, that's okay. I mean, what a shame. And yet, if if that's not the path that they choose to take, because remember, it's all about choices. We see a sign, and do we open up our mind and open our heart and go forward? And this is truly a humbling time. It's truly a time of deeper reverence for, as Milos, my dear brother of the heart, says here, the sacredness. We are sacred souls. We are the holy ground. We are, gods and goddesses in form. And we're here to reshape, reform, restore balance and integrity to, first and foremost, our experience of life. And what are we here for? Yeah, and Milos, I'm not sure if you've tuned. Scared. You said scared, and well, let's touch on that, because I haven't seen you in the lives. I'm not sure if you've caught any of the replays, but beginning last Friday, this human has done so much clearing with the unconditional love and support of Source, who has been with me from the beginning of time, and especially in this lifetime. Back there, little Lisa, that was scared, that was actually terrified most nights of her life when she laid in her bed on her own. And I came face to face with little Lisa last Friday night. Like but really showed up in a present way because I had been sharing here with all of you through the planetary transits and everything that we're going through. I'm just here to share my experience. I don't know. I'm not an expert. I'm not an expert on anything beyond um, becoming more and more transparent, becoming lighter and lighter, becoming softer in a world that really has done a lot to a lot of us to make us hard. I mean, I've been hard. I've been hard. I don't want to be hard. I want to be soft. I really want to just settle into the feminine essence that is Lisa Diane Lyle. And so, in order to do that, we must address and console and comfort that child. And so, when I was having this, after sharing not last Friday night, the Friday night before, the last Friday in June, sharing that this is where the call was coming from. Go back to the child that we were way back then. What were the thoughts in our head? What was going on? And I was in like complete terror. My son's gone again, working out of town. And I was just here. It was late. It was in the wee hours of the morning, actually. And I was like so overwhelmed with like sheer fear just out of nowhere. And the only thought that I had that I could muster in the moment of what could help me was to call on God, to call on Source, to call on the energies in the spiritual realm that love me unconditionally, that have been with me, the Creator. And as soon as I had that thought, as soon as I made the connection, the conscious contact, it was done. It was done. There was an instant release, an instant relief, and I was able to go to bed. When I woke up the next day from Saturday, Sunday, Saturday and Sunday being the worst of it, I woke up with hip pain in the right hip. Hips, our ability to move forward in life, in the space between the hips, our sacral chakra, our emotional waters, the emotional, where we repress emotions, where we experience joy, where we experience in physical form the connection with the sacred lover. And so Saturday night, when I came here live, not this past Saturday, the last one in June, I was so uncomfortable here during the live. So uncomfortable. I'm like, moving around. Every little movement hurt. It was not my just desserts. That came on the other side. The miraculous life comes on the other side of these tremendous shifts. And it's important to note, especially for those of you who have been on this awakening journey, this healing journey, this journey of self-awareness, rediscovery, the spiritual journey. Those of you who have been on it for a very long time, it's important to note that the last time I experienced such a shift through my hips as this was 30 years ago, 95, 96, 95. And at that time, I was basically on my back for 8 days straight. Me, myself, and I, as a young, 25-year-old living on her own in her one-bedroom apartment. That's where I had the purple bedroom, in that apartment. Everyone called it the Pink Palace. It was very eclectic and flamboyant. And after some time, it was a little overstimulating. Let's be honest. I'll be honest about that. So so on Saturday night, I went to bed, woke up Sunday, and literally, thank God my son was home. And my son was home last Friday night. No, he came home Saturday. And then he was home on Sunday. And thank God he was home on Sunday, because when I woke up in the morning, I hadn't gotten out of bed. I just woke up after a very restless night, not a lot of movement, just a lot of prayers, a lot of conscious contact with my team of light, my support system in the etheric realms. I woke up Sunday and my whole body felt in pain. It was everywhere. And I went to move and it was like, oh my gosh, this is worse than it was yesterday. And my son helped me get out of bed. He gave me a hand and pulled me up. And I gave it my best effort. I gave it my best effort to show up and go to the job, because that's what that's what I have to do. I'm responsible for, my job keeps the roof over my head. So I went. I looked absolutely ridiculous. I'm sure everybody who saw me could see that I was in literal so much pain. I could hardly walk. It was terrible. Long story short, I lasted an hour and 10 minutes, got myself home, got myself positioned on the couch. I never take, I won't say never, because if the situation arises, I do. But things like Motrin or Advil, well, I needed to that day in order to just settle and support myself from easing the level of pain I was in, and ice the hip. So I was on the couch from 4:30 till 11:30, and then my son came and helped me into bed. And I had a restless night's sleep, woke up Monday and thought, oh my gosh, I feel worse, because there was still a lot of pain in my body. My son helped me out, and it was like almost, oh my goodness, not that I was in no pain, but there was a 30%, there was marked improvement. So I was really, so that's a testament to honoring the guidance that we're receiving, to be as the healer, as the spiritual teacher or leader, or whatever we want to call ourselves. In that role, we have to do the work. We have to be the shift, because we are sacred ground. We are the holy ground. We are the seeds of change here now to turn things around, is what I just heard. So I went to work on Monday, and a couple people, not many people, asked me anything about my situation or what was going on. A few people did engage. Mostly, though, I heard things like that. Someone I know, and I have a great sense of humor. If you can't tell, I have a really good sense of humor, and I can laugh at myself, which I feel is one of my gifts, is the ability to laugh at myself, and perhaps the ability to support you to laugh at yourself too, because we take ourselves, Saturday, that's an inside joke. We take ourselves awfully seriously. And so this person had said to me, oh, you're walking really strange. It looks ridiculous. And I said, yeah, I'm in a lot of pain. I'm in a lot of pain. And I understand it looks ridiculous, because Monday I was walking like I had a peg leg. I had to keep the right foot forward, no rotation through the hip socket, just forward movement. And I did it. And as the day went on, I was feeling better and better and better, and came home Monday night, rested, got up Tuesday, and it was like a miracle had taken place. It was like a miracle had taken place. The physical pain had greatly subsided. It was like a breakthrough. And the team, my spiritual team all around, I kept hearing, we're so proud of you. You did it. You broke through. And now the break free is imminent, free and clear, free to go into new territory. Right? Free to go into uncharted waters. And so that same day when I went to the job was the fortunate day that I laid eyes on this soul that, the soul recognition from this perspective was there. And since that time, there's been a complete disconnect. I like to say jokingly, I've never really, I've never had such a loud and clear message received when making eye contact with someone, the recognition through the eyes, which is what I felt. And I haven't had the opportunity to really see those eyes again. And because the eyes don't lie, right? The eyes don't lie. The mind does. The mind keeps us tied up inside and keeps us hiding, perhaps. So on that Tuesday, the day of the miraculous hip healing, the day of the miraculous emotional breakthroughs and clearing, and and now it's the cleansing, the layers of shame and guilt. Like, we have to do the work. We I feel definitely have moved beyond it. And so if you're not feeling it, you probably will be soon. The change is imminent. But that day when I walked in to the space at work, there were three people in the space, and two of them looked rather nervous because I'm so scary. I'm so scary. And the third, the soul I recognize, was I don't know if he was trying to hide or not. It doesn't matter, because I was so happy to see and lay eyes on that soul that I just said, "Hi, good to see you." I think I said, "Hi, how are you?" And I think I did get a hi. I did think I saw a glimpse of a face that it's like trying to hide our light, because I'm pretty sure that that face that I saw was shining more brightly than the last time I saw it. So that's that's that was nice to see, honestly. In all honesty, it was really nice to see. And I guess the maybe the delusional part of me, I don't know, or the optimistic part of me, I really felt that that was a sign. And you know, beyond the mind, the heart beats. Haven't seen that person since, and saw a friend of theirs and said, "Oh, it was so great to see your friend," and pass it on. It felt like really, a really beautiful. Perhaps it was, um, a lapse on that person's part. They forgot they were hiding, or they forgot that I worked on that day, because I am on a new shift. So either way, I took it as a sign. I don't see anything as coincidences. I don't see, it's up to us. Again, it's up to us to move beyond the mind. And where I've had a very physical, uh, your spirit guides are on Advil. Yeah, maybe mine too. Um, so where I had with this person, I've had a very like soulful recognition connection, and I feel an energetic connection, even though there is no contact at all. I feel an energetic connection, and I just hold space, because I feel like it would be a wonderful connection. No drama, no, just support, just a space of home. And literally that night in November, when there was the soul recognition on my part, I came home and I had a again, that was the initiation of another release. I literally sat outside in November, a late November night, and I was like crying. I was crying. It was like, it was the Sagittarius, or was it the Scorpio new moon? Anyways, it doesn't matter, but it keeps coming up. It was the death and rebirth process, and it was the recognition, and the um it felt like I kept hearing, home. And we have to learn to let go of our expectations of things. We also have to learn to let go of, you know, just because we see or feel something doesn't mean another person does. And if they do, it doesn't mean necessarily that they're going to act on it. Or and that's, we have to become okay with that. We have to become okay with that and just stay the course of our heart, right? Just stay the course of our heart. Just stay in the presence and really lean on the presence of source in our day to day. Another thing I want to touch on, and so as the week's gone on, it's just been getting brighter and brighter and brighter, honestly. And yesterday, as I shared last night, I spent some time hanging out on my island because yesterday I realized maybe no man's an island. I think so, though maybe the woman is, who knows? And maybe it's like coming home to the safe island, and letting our burdens down, feeling, uh, take a chance on me, taking a chance on love again, believing that we're worthy of like the entirety of the experience, the happily ever after, if you will. Because like Maury said, like when we get to the end of our life, I can't, and I know it's not going to be the story for me. I couldn't imagine being at the end of my life on my own. Like, is there someone going to be there to hold, and not yes, children and family and this kind of stuff, like a lover, our person who's there with us, who cares for us, and I feel like that was the hardest thing that I've had to overcome in the last, year and a half, is the feeling that someone never really cared at all. Not at all. Never saw me as I was, or never had the decency or respect enough to be soft with my heart, to be integral, to be honest. That's the deepest cut of all. And yet, as the healer, as the magician, as the living vessel of the light, eternally connected to source, we have the power to invoke miraculous healing, to experience expansive clearing, so that we can move forward onto the path that is truly ours. It's no joke. It's no joke. I mean, I like to make a joke of everything, kind of. But you know what? It's not fun when somebody makes a joke of you. Or, yeah, leave it at that. Milos, what are you saying here? What are you saying here? Yeah, I had, you know what? It was 2021 that I would say I had a near death experience, and I'm lucky to be alive. And it was in March of 21. It's always March, it's always Pisces season for me, and as a Virgo, that seems really, really important, because I feel and see Virgo Pisces axis as the healing axis, everything below the heart, right? All that energy below the horizon. And then we get to, bring the spiritual, and hopefully walk with our hearts in the physical realm. But yeah, it was in 2021. I woke up one morning in March, and by the look of my face, I knew I was really lucky to be alive, and I was really grateful to be alive. And for the second time in my life, I dumped the alcohol down the sink. And so, now sober again for 4 years, over 4 years. Previous to that, 2 decades of sobriety. And so when we're not showing up for ourselves, I mean, the lesson there is, when we're not showing, oh, don't be sorry. I'm glad everything's happened the way it is. And I'm glad I have this space to come and share authentically, again, because I'm not an expert in anything. I'm just a 4444. I'm just a divine human like all of you. And again, any of you who resonate with anything that is shared here, you have very Your work here in this lifetime is spiritual work, and you have great works to do. And you're here at seeding a legacy of love, seeding a legacy of light. And we've been to dark places, we've been to dark spaces, and who's picked us up out of those dark spaces and places? Well, of course, ourself has done that. Perhaps a time or two we were helped up by another. Most of the time, though, we pick ourselves up out of these dark spaces through our connection to the spiritual realms. And so, while since November, I've been having it's been a very healing, and it's been like another ego death after ego death. And, I'm even softer today than I was back in November of last year. And it gets better every day when we show up for ourselves and show up in the world in authentic ways and allow ourselves to be seen. And if my coming here and sharing like my story, and my story has a similar feel to your story, what a gift that is as well. What a gift that is to touch people. Like, I can't wait to touch people in life. Like, we need 8 hugs a day. How many of us are getting 8 hugs a day? I'm not. I mean, I could go to the job. I don't know if not the environment to do it. But like, I mean, honestly, we should go out there and start hugging each other more. Heart hugs, heart to heart. And a hug is meant to last 21 seconds, and that's so uncomfortable for most people. I like to do it with my son, and because he's away from home now for long periods of time, when he comes home, he fidgets and fusses, like staying in that hug for the 21 seconds. But he doesn't get out of it. And he gets lots of them. And, I love those times. I love the human contact. And that was one thing that Maury spoke about in that book, Tuesdays with Maury. If you wonder who Maury is that I'm talking about, it's this little gem. Oh, 21 seconds. I love that. Milos has just said 21 seconds. A soul needs to leave the body, and also that much to merge with another. And so maybe that's why we resist holding on for 21 seconds in a hug. We don't really want to feel that connection with the other. We're afraid of that connection. Like, will we be lost within that connection? No. Destined connections, soul connections, unlike the karmic connections, are for expanded purpose, are acts of service, really. And the expanded purpose are our co-creative acts of service, collaborating with the other, with others, sisters and brothers. I like that tidbit. Yeah, and if we all could live, like I was saying last night, if we could all live this life as if we were dying, if we were to go today, are we okay? And I feel that that's the most important quality to a good life. Would we have gone for our dreams? Would we have gone for more connection? So as the child back there, the thoughts going on, imagine, if you will, for a moment, what are your final thoughts? And are they going to be uplifting and joyful and all about connection and the love shared? And, or are those thoughts going to be fearful, full of regret, would have, should have, could have? We don't get the time back. We don't get any time back. Time, it keeps on slipping. Yeah. Into the future. And so instead of an attitude of, oh, yeah, I'll do that one day, how about we shift to today is day one? Instead of, yeah, I'll reach out, I'll connect, I'll go for it one day. Today is day one. Today is day one. Go for more fun. 133. 133, which reminds me that I have to go to the job. So let's pull us a feather. This is the Magic of Feathers Oracle or something, the Healing Feather Oracle. So, how's everyone doing? I trust that for those of you catching this on the replay, if you've made it this far, there's some sort of resonance within your heart. And if there is, like, please feel free to engage, reach out, connect. Let's begin to break the chains, break the ties of the mind that have kept us perhaps blind to what's right in front of us. Middle of the road, sweeping things out to the middle of the road, the gray area. Remember, if we use our brains, it's not going to fall out. There is a call, though, to plug the brain into the heart and, perhaps like spend some time in this space. Sit there with the brain plugged into the heart and breathe into it. What are you feeling in this moment? Is there resistance? Are you able to get out of the head? Are you able to hear your heart? This messenger is the chickadee, and it says, it's time to write. It is time, the right time. The time is right to release old patterns and energies. You are ready to embrace change. Life your way. Life on life's terms. We can't change anything. We can't change anything back there. We can't change the hearts and minds of others, really. Perhaps we can inspire others to be the change, and we can support the shift and change. And yet, at the end of the day, we each have to roll up our own sleeves and do our own work. And, over the years, I've found it's about, it's a revealing. We talk about the onion peeling. It's more like a revealing, a getting to who we have always been at the core. And, chickadees are these delightful little birds, and they flit around. I love their flight pattern. They're just like, woo, yippee. And chickadees around here, like if you're lucky enough, a chickadee will come and land on your hand. I remember my son, when he was young, I used to take him to this conservation area close by. And, it was the thing to do, to put some bird seed in your hand, and the little chickadees will come and land. And as I'm saying that, it's a little bit of an odd experience to have, a bird from the wild resting on your hand, right? So it feels like, can we get comfortable in the new sensation, the new feeling? Can we settle into it from a space of like, there's no harm here? There's no harm here. This little bird eating on our hand is so trusting, right? Can we live life and have the faith to be the change, to make the change, to go for it, to run in the direction of love? When love comes a knocking, don't go running in the other direction. Don't be an ostrich, right? Don't be an ostrich. Head in the sand. And the message here is the choice is clear for you. Follow the wisdom and truth you feel in your heart. And that's, I guess that's the best that we can do. And that is my intention and hope in every day, is like showing up, best face forward. It's not easy. There's a story here, and I come here and I share the story. And, when we begin to share with one another, we realize that there's We have more in common with one another than not. The ostrich is reminding me and making me feel here of the heron energy, merging the Virgo Pisces axis, merging the spiritual and the physical. And we're not just here to focus on the spiritual. We are here as humans to awaken to our spiritual essence, our spiritual nature, who we are at the heart. And at this point in time, the power comes from the journey of reestablishing the connection of source and the recognition of the spiritual unfolding and awakening that takes place every day. And then the inner vision to clear the way so that in the physical, because if you're resonating with this, you're here for the full on experience. We're not, perhaps we were priests and monks and nuns in other lifetimes. That's not what we're here for in this lifetime, because it's really a reunion and a healing of the sacred divine in this timeline, restoration of the acknowledgement and the acting as if we are the holy ground, not one above another, and we're all sisters and brothers. And even though people in our life or people in the world may seek to hide, we're not here for that. We're here to come out of hiding and show, I guess, show the world we care by showing ourselves we care. And you know what? If someone has a cerebral reaction to us and someone wants to not engage with us and go out of their way to avoid us and stuff like that, then you know what? That's their stuff. It's not our stuff. It's not a reflection of who we are, right? And why would we want to do that? Why would we want to hide from the soul connection? Why would we want to hide from the opportunity for expansion and love and companionship and friendship and all of that? Well, because maybe we don't feel worthy, or we don't feel that we deserve it, or, too good to be true. If someone's being true, the eyes will tell you. The eyes always do. So may we have the courage to look one another in the eye as we pass by. May we have the courage to, smile and say hi and support others in feeling the great value that they bring to this life. Maybe not everyone's our cup of tea. Maybe not everyone is meant to be. That's okay. We can at least be kind, and not be kind like this person was to me. The initials are IT, so it's like it. Not be kind in a way that you're not really putting up your true face. You're not really being authentic. You're a liar. You're lying. And in the meantime, you're smearing another's character, perhaps, or as was said last night, viewing something as like a feather in your cap. Well, I'm going to pluck that feather in your cap, and I'm going to adjust my headdress, as the peaceful warrior of the heart. Starling, we had this last night. Now is the time to get out into the world and connect in authentic ways. Yay! Yay, we're connected. Yay! Yay me for listening and trusting the guidance to come and connect here today. Because you know what? Like I said, I'm not an expert. I don't know what I'm doing. Look at me. Look, what do I know? What do I know? Well, what I know is I'm a good person. I always have been, perhaps misguided at times. And yet at this stage of life, I know I'm not, I'm not interested in anything that isn't real, that has some substance. And wisdom comes from healing our pain, from getting out of our own way, from being, like everything that's gone on, everything I've experienced. It's like I'm so optimistic still about life. I so believe, and I know like I've got a whole team in the spiritual realms that um, are bringing to me like the very best life ever. And I had a small, brief sampling of that when Frank was alive. What a beautiful gift that 3 short years with that truly divine masculine energy was for myself and my son and my family and, all of that. What a beautiful gift. And some days, like yesterday, when I found his glasses, the ache of missing him and not having him here in the physical it was again another very physical reaction. The cerebral reactions I have in life are very much the fear-based energies, and the physical reactions, I mean, the fear sometimes guides the physical, but a lot of the physical reaction is about the release, is truly about the healing, um, of the through our cellular memory and our DNA. And I was thinking today, that man, that cocky, confident man who went for it, took a shot, took a chance on me, um, had no issue, no qualms about, how do we say, let's say challenging. Some may say scolding me, and yet always done in the most loving and compassionate way. And it was a real grounding essence. I'm very grounded by nature. His presence was a very grounded, stable presence. There was feelings of safety and security. And he used to, when he would scold me, or when he was serious about, he wanted me to really hear what was being said. These glasses, I'm not going to put them on. They're very strong. Oh, maybe I will. Oh my gosh. Maybe he didn't see me with these glasses. Jesus. He saw me and felt me with his heart. But he would put these glasses on, and when he had something serious to say, they would come to the tip of his nose, and he would look at me over the top of his glasses. Yeah. We've all, and it's about acceptance, right? And it's about the willingness to not close ourselves off from experiencing life again because of, a misguided choice or decision, or, being intentionally misled um, down, I keep hearing down a path of sorrow. You know what was that movie called, that the song I'm a Man of Constant Sorrow? I think George Clooney was in it. It was a ridiculous movie. That song is good though, right? I'm a man of constant sorrow. Are we men and women of constant sorrow, or are we hopeful for, you know, more love tomorrow, more good things to come our way? I'm choosing to stay in the space of good things, great things are coming my way. And I am the open, abundant floodgate of love and creativity and joy. And, may we all have the courage to be in that soul space. And um, may we all have the good fortune to connect with those that we're meant to connect with in this lifetime. And may we have the strength and fortitude to go for it. That big lion over the heart, rawr, right? Going for it. So I'm going to read some of the comments here, and then I'm going to wrap it up because I got to go for it. I got to go for the job. I would not. I don't think I'd be okay with a family of mice in my hair. That's the kind of thing too. I like going to the forest. I like going to nature and stuff. I really, like sharing that with another as well. Because it's nice to have like a feeling of safety and security there. Not that I go out in the world and feel unsafe necessarily. It's just a different world when you have someone to share it with, like, to climb the mountains, to climb the rocks, to sit by the stream, to lay on the moss, all those things. It adds more. It adds more color. And remember last night we had the color card here. More color to life. Is your life dull and drab, predictable, or is it bright and full of life? And as much as, you know, I'm very much on my own, my life is pretty bright and I bring the color to life, and I bring the color to my own life through clearing, the toxicity or the density that may come up. And again, it's like this spiritual journey of ours is a day to day unfolding. And so no more holding back. Why would we hold back? The call of the heart, the call of the soul. So yeah, I'm not sure I'd be okay with mice in my hair. Maybe if someone else was laying on the forest floor with me and they were going to flick those mice out of my hair, although I don't have much hair for them to get tangled in, which makes it even more freaky because they'd be right on my head. Yeah. And it's funny because mouse has come up a lot as a messenger recently, right? Being productive. And why are we afraid of the small things? Like, what is a mouse really going to do to us? Right? Like, we're how many times bigger than a mouse? People get discouraged when they look into your red eyes of the rats, like we were talking about last night. Rats have red eyes. Well, or, maybe just people who are high. I don't know. Yeah. It's like Kat says, preach equality. I'm here for it. And we're here to restore it. And it's not about preaching. Discerning eye. Our discerning eyes. It's not about preaching, because if we're just preaching, like if we're at a pulpit, and this happens a lot in, organized religion and stuff, saying one thing and going out there and doing another, like that doesn't float in my world. That holds no water. That boat's a sinking ship, right? Because it's like, how do we behave behind closed doors? How do we treat others? How do we treat ourselves? And so, there's a lot we must be the embodiment of what we know. And it's an ongoing, as long as we're living and breathing, there's going to be opportunity for more soul growth in the here and now. And I'm all here for that. I'm here for that till the end of days. I'm here for that. Knowledge and wisdom are different. Yeah, we touched on that. Yeah. And Kat, you're right. We've all been there at one point in time. And, I've started to like question myself. Like, can I trust myself? Can I trust myself? Is my intuition so off? And I'll tell you, like, it's again, sometimes it feels like, maybe I'm just imagining things. Maybe it's just a figment of my wishful thinking, my imagination. And again, like soul recognition, although I've felt soul recognition, I don't really know much about the human that is the body to the soul that I recognize, like literally recognized and had heard a certain message with the eye contact. So, how can we, when we feel, because even though we may be listening, perhaps others aren't listening, or perhaps others are listening to what others may be saying based on judgments and assumptions, really unknowing. It's a cruel world. And so may we have the courage to go out in the world and be a lifeline of kindness, truly a lifeline of kindness. Yeah, I think it's really important, and this is how leaders are born. This is how healers are born. This is how guides and teachers are born, is by moving through what we judge ourselves as a mistake. as we judge ourselves for, that we feel embarrassed by, that we feel like, oh my gosh, how could I have been so wrong? How could I have, um, yeah, how, what does it say about myself? What do I feel about myself that I was so willing to believe in the goodness of someone else? Not everybody's good. And I wouldn't say that there are any necessarily bad children. We're all children, right? Young and old, just misguided. And at some point in our life, we were all, many of you who are regulars here know, for me, I started making my own choices and decisions in 1984, and I was always looking for love. And as a young teenager, was very misguided, mistaking lust for love. I mean, what a hormonal time in our life, and what a terrible disservice we do to ourselves and our children when we don't address these issues that may have children moving into those really formative years of life misguided about the sacredness of who they are, the sacredness of their bodies, the sacredness of their heart, all of it. And so may we be a good example of, facing ourselves, looking at ourselves in the mirror, 5 1s across the board, change, making a wish, being the wish, believing in wish fulfillment. Um, and, being brave enough to keep going out in the world from a space of an open heart and not chasing. We don't have to chase love. Love just simply is. And love calls to us, and it's our responsibility to move in the direction of the call of love. And that journey always begins with loving ourselves. And yeah, feeling unloved or unlovable. I had to work through that recently, and, in the last year and a half, like feeling like, what is it about me, that's so unlovable? Like, do I not deserve like good things? Do I not deserve this? Do I not deserve that? Yes, we do. And so it's about clearing the density that says, no, it's not true. You don't deserve that. And I still know I deserve it, right? And sometimes the ego wants to hold on so long because we're embarrassed. We feel silly. We feel, and we hear the people talking about us as we walk down the hall. That's not cool at all. That's not cool at all. And yet when we can show up with grace, you know, we've wiped the mud off of our face or whatever, and show up with grace. That's all that we're called to do. And let others judge you. Let others misunderstand you. And when the opportunity arises, let others get to know you, because we have more in common. It was 11313, the divine feminine holding space for the masculine, that emperor energy, to rise and claim what's yours. Claim your abundant birthright. Claim, it was 11331. Claim union that is meant to grow you, grow you. Yeah, sometimes, sometimes the unloved child grows up to be a terrifying monster. The man and women child who are so tortured and um, uh, by what happened back there, that they've become a representative of what happened back there. They've become worse than, and they perpetuate the wounds. Again, that's for the people who are stuck on the wheel of karma. Those of you here, we've broken free. We're breaking free from that karmic energy, and we're moving into the destined experience of the human, and everything we've been through to this point. All the phases of coming home to love ourselves more, coming home to be more authentic, to be more real in the world, to be a lifeline of kindness in the world, not for personal gain. If this is a journey about personal gain, I'd probably have given up on this a long time ago. And yet, the reward of all of this is I get to share my soul and get to share the wisdom that has grown from the pain that I have walked through. And most of us didn't deserve any of those things that happened to us. We didn't deserve anything that happened to us back there. I know I certainly didn't deserve anything that's happened in my life since Frank transitioned to the other side. And a lot of time in between, I was responsible for a lot of things that happened in my life. And it was a real wake-up call on that morning in 2021 when I woke up knowing that I was a miracle and knowing that angels saved my life that night, and feeling so grateful for the opportunity to make it right, to go for it and live the absolute best life in faith, knowing that I'm not here to go through the back end of my days alone, and also knowing that I am here to continue to serve in any way, shape, or form that I'm guided and that comes easy and that brings me joy, the path of fulfillment. Yeah. And we've always been whole, right? But it's returning to the acknowledgement that we've been whole and returning to the acknowledgement that we've always been worthy and deserving of love. We may not have always experienced it as we deserved it, and yet we've always been worthy and deserving. We didn't deserve a lot of the stuff that's happened to us. And yet when we can move through it, move beyond it like the eagle. Yeah, transition. I like that. Milo says transition from a whole, HOLE, to whole, WHOLE. So Milos tells us Saturn is the sun's unloved child. That's why his energy as it is. So anyways, everyone, I really must go. I have pulled this out absolutely as long as I can. I do have to get ready to go to the job. I trust that something here resonated with you today. And thank you so much for showing up. Thank you for trusting your heart. And if you resonate at all with mine, I feel so lucky and blessed by your presence in my life. 22-second hug. Let's do it. Let's hug it out. Let us all give ourselves a hug here. And just really feeling, doesn't it feel nice? Even to hug yourself. It may look ridiculous. I mean, if you can't tell, I'm not too concerned about looking ridiculous. Hugging ourselves, showing up for ourselves, reaching out and hugging another, showing up for the other. And then let's do it with the arms the other way. Balance, right? Showing up for the other and trusting that when situations or people are placed on our path, it is for purpose. There are no such things as coinky-dinks. And how many times are we going to allow our ego to have us looking away from perhaps what has long been in front of our face? So I see you, I feel you, I love you. We'll be back here tomorrow for some messages from our angels live. I'm going to try to do lives again every day because it grounds me as well. So thank you so much for showing up. Please do let me know in the comments down below how these messages resonated. Milos, Kat, Soul Secret Service, thank you so much for showing up here during the live and engaging. I'm grateful for your support of the Thrive. And to everyone who's catching this on the replay, if you've made it this far, you are a trooper and a true warrior of the heart. If you're not subscribed yet, please consider subscribing to the channel. And of course, drop a comment down below, introduce yourself. We're all here for our soul's growth. I see you, I feel you, I love you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for showing up.